like a ball.
Hey, what's up, ladies? This is Alex from Mindful Attraction 2.0, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about things to avoid when making men chase. These are the things that women do on a regular basis that causes the tactics that I teach you guys not to work. Right? It's never my fault; it's always your fault. Um, but generally speaking, though, these are very simple behaviors. Like, they might look complicated because you allow them to grow, but a lot of the reasons why when people mess up when it comes to dating is because they just never address the issue. They never address the core. When you look at the core, it looks very simple. I mean, it looks very simple when you look at it. When it's growing, when it's like matured, it looks like a very difficult problem. In reality, it's not that difficult. You just allowed it to get bigger. It's kind of like a seed, you know. It starts off as a seed, and if you don't kill it at that moment, it'll get a lot more complicated. But I'm gonna show you ways how to avoid that and how to fix it if you got yourself in that trap. All right, so the first thing is stop qualifying yourself to the guys. That's the first thing that women make, the mistake that women make when talking to guys. Qualifying is trying to convince them that you're worthy of them. Qualifying is trying to convince them with your words and with the short term in order to tell them how awesome you are. When you like it on the inside, you try to overcompensate by showing it on the outside. You understand? So avoid saying cool things about yourself to impress them. It's not just that it looks try hard, but it kind of deludes you on the inside. You feel when you feel the need to impress someone and you act on it, you are reinforcing that habit. You understand? You reinforce that habit that you're trying to avoid. So notice yourself wanting to impress people with your words and with your actions and the things you have, and don't allow that emotion to be fed anymore by taking action, but rather observe that desire, that compulsive desire to impress people by asking yourself, am I trying to feel better right now? And when you notice yourself trying to feel better, ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped trying to feel better? Just for 10 seconds. And you allow that emotion to be in your conscious awareness. And so what happens is that emotion is going to dissolve after a while. You just have to experience the pain. All right? So stop focusing on saying things to impress them. Focus on the things that is fun. All right? So for example, focus on saying things that's fun for you rather than saying things out of the need to get them to impress you. Say things because it's fun, not because of need. You understand? So that's why you always got to be asking yourself, am I trying to feel better? Because if you're trying to feel better and the action comes from that place of trying to feel better, it's always going to be linked with you needing a certain reaction. So rather than ask yourself, how can I have fun more on a consistent basis? When you're talking to a guy and you feel needy, ask yourself, how can I have fun? And it's a lot easier for yourself to focus on what you got to focus on rather than focusing on trying to please him. Because when you act on that, you're feeding that behavior and it becomes even more difficult. So the older you get, the more ingrained in your personality that behavior is going to be. The second one, avoid reacting to him. Go in it without an outcome. That's the thing you got to have. Reaction comes when you have a certain outcome in mind. That outcome could come from the place of I need a boyfriend, or I need this, I need that, or I need a certain reaction, or I need to stop feeling this emotion that I feel right now. So that's the outcome. And so those things are mostly linked up to external circumstances you cannot control. So you gotta go in it without an outcome, or else you'll have a predisposed bias about his traits, and you're gonna be missing a lot of obvious signs. So when you go in it, it's kind of like how can I say this? I'm trying to find the right words to go about it. It's kind of like going into a job interview, right? Saying that you need that job, and you need it because you need to pay the bills, right? You already say yourself, I don't care how horrible the job is, I'll take it. So what tends to happen is that because you have so much need, you know that there are parts, they say, are you willing to work overtime? Are you willing to work overnight? Are you willing to work weekends? And because of your need to get a job, you're willing to do that. Now you think you want to do that, but you're just doing it because you need it. And so when the moment comes, you're going to notice that that's not what you want, and you end up being unhappy. Why? Because you made a choice based on neediness. So you gotta observe your desire for an outcome. The future projection. Notice the future projections you create whenever you think of a guy. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is just become aware of it. Just become aware of yourself creating those future projections, being with a guy, in the hopes of being happy, in the hopes of fulfilling a fantasy, which will ultimately, in your mind, will fulfill you and make you happy. You see, become aware of those fantasies where you're happily ever after. That's what you gotta do. You don't have to change it. You just have to become aware of it. Because becoming aware is the only thing you have to do. Because from that place, then you are able to take action as an actual organism that's not controlled by its unconscious desires. Number 3, defensiveness. Defensiveness is a learned behavior as a result of being unable to handle stress, particularly when you're small, when you're little. The more in pain, the more pain was inflicted to you, the more defensive you become. You become rigid. You see, it's kind of like watching Game of Thrones. You notice how those are some crazy motherfuckers, right? They'll be psycho in today's day, right? So defensiveness comes because there's constant threat around you. Right? You were hurt and you didn't want to feel that pain. So for example, like listen to the stories of de factos from North Korea, people who escaped North Korea. Like you'll notice that they struggle assimilating. They make enemies out of everyone. They think that everyone is out to get them because they were raised in a defensive society where they have to snitch on each other, so they can't really trust anyone. And so that's what causes you to self-sabotage, defensiveness. That'll cause you to create more arguments. That'll cause you to always need to be right. You feel a compulsive desire to be right. So what you have to do is avoid feeling defensive when you're around a guy when you're trying to make him chase. Because defensiveness is going to cause you to interpret the things he does from the most negative aspect. You're going to think that he's not texting you back because he's trying to play you. You're going to think he's not texting you back because he's cheating on you. So you got to become aware of that defensiveness. And again, you don't have to do nothing about it. All you got to do is just become aware of your own bias, because your bias will come as a result of your own defensiveness. If you notice yourself being biased, then guess what? You're not biased no more. You already took the first and most primary step in being able to look at the world from an objective perspective, which is always being willing to question yourself, to question your own belief systems, which ultimately comes down to asking yourself, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in this argument. Maybe I'm wrong about his assumptions. And just observing the emotion, observing how the emotion conjures up and creates a different reality. And just noticing how your body reacts to certain emotions, to certain circumstances, and just noticing. That's all you gotta do, just notice. Ask yourself, what's going on right now inside of me? Just ask yourself that right now. Ask yourself, what's going on inside of me right now? And just look. What you notice is that you go in, there's like even though there might be turmoil, the act of observing the observer, not the emotion but the observer, there's like a peace to it. Am I right? Because you're observing the turbulence, but who's observing the turbulence? Is the one who's observing the turbulence experiencing turbulence? Absolutely not. So when you become identified with that, then you're able to observe a lot of problems in your life without being affected by it. All right. And that also comes from being defensive. Now, the last one is actually, to continue on that point, is that defensiveness also is a construct of the ego that wants to stay alive. Like when you argue and you don't care about the truth anymore, you just care about being right. That's what a part of defensiveness is all about. The desire to be right. All right. So you just notice yourself being defensive, because when you want to be right, that's when bias creeps in, and that causes you also look past a lot of the red flags. The last one, you're too self-consumed. That's the last mistake you gotta do. It's not listening during the conversation, thinking about what you want to say next, thinking about your agenda, thinking about this, thinking about that. But rather than being present in the moment, you focus on your mind-made self-compulsive desire to think about this, think about that, trying to find solutions. You are not fine with not being okay. So what do? When you listen to someone right now, right? Notice how you're listening to me right now, right? You think you're listening, right? You're not. Maybe you're not, maybe you are, but try this. As you listen to me right now, try this, right? Notice the breath as you listen to me. Make the breath your primary mode of attention. Make the breath, feel as though the breath is the most interesting storyteller you've ever heard. Right? Just feel the breath. Make the primary mode of your attention your breath. Just do it right now, right? And as you feel your breath, just notice the way my voice resonates in your ear as you continue to feel your breath. Notice the way my voice resonates in your ear. Notice the way it resonates, and you just feel that pulsating inside of you. Notice the space between my words. Notice the silence when my words are not there. As you continue to notice your breath. You see, and that's how you listen. When you're in that mode of listening, you don't have space to think about what you're gonna say next. But rather, when you're listening like that, when the moment comes for you to respond, you usually respond out of the present moment. You don't respond because you were thinking about what to say. So it's pretty much aligned. It's pretty much goes right along with what I'm saying. So it's not gonna be incongruent. It's not gonna be like you're not gonna respond out of your conditioned responses, which is as a result of you observing those similar thoughts and emotions through the patterns that you normally portray, which is trying to think of what to say next, right? Because people usually think the same thoughts when they're consumed in thoughts. But when you listen, observing the breath and just like being extremely present, what usually arises doesn't come from your conditioned self. That comes as a result of superficial social standards, but rather what arises is usually what's supposed to be said. It doesn't come from neediness, because your neediness is usually derives from your memories from the past. Memory pains that you're trying to avoid, that is not something that you avoid with mental effort, but rather you avoid it through an emotional how can I say, it's an emotional map. You kind of feel your way through the neediness. You understand? It's not like you remember somebody rejecting you. You just feel the emotion of somebody rejecting you. So that's how you feel. That's how you remember things in a way. So those things used to arise, and then it created a certain response that created a certain result. But now you don't allow that to happen to you. So now the response doesn't come from you anymore. It doesn't come from your preconditioned self. It comes from presence. And it's usually the right way. It doesn't matter what arises from it. It doesn't matter what happens. But when it comes from presence, it's usually good for you, in my opinion. Usually, and also you listen more, and you don't come out as creepy and as crazy and as a psycho and all that shit, right? But that's it, man. And anyways, actually, somebody from my channel found me on Tinder. Like, she messaged me. She was like, "Is this Alex?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't know. You know that." Anyways, if you guys need one-on-one coaching, just go to mindforattraction.org. Anyways, take care and have a good day. Bye bye.
All right, ladies. So this is the course that all of you guys have been asking me for, and it is the psychological game of attraction. This is pretty much the course that will make any man beg to want to commit with you. This is the course that I wish, I'll be honest with you, if I was a woman, this is the kind of course that I want, because it's a course that's specifically geared to help you understand how guys fall in love and how to do it in a systematic way that's almost predictable, right? So let me show you guys how this course is set up. By the way, there's a 30-day money back guaranteed on this course. So if you guys don't like it, you guys will get money back. Look, let me show you how it's done, right? So it's split up in a few sections. The first section is the introduction, obviously, what to expect from it. After that is I'm giving you an understanding of the psychology of attraction, right? Because you need to understand that dating is a game. You need to think strategically, that there are certain laws of human nature that you cannot break, and just a few things of why people love each other. You know, it's very important to have a realistic expectation. After that, we go into the three phases of every relationship. They all go in these three phases, and these phases could overlap each other at times, right? The first phase is the pre-honeymoon period. It is when you first know the person, or it is when you're becoming acquaintance with the guy, or it is when you guys broke up and are back together, or it is when you guys had a long period of you guys not knowing each other, and now you guys want to rekindle things. This works in any point of the relationship that you need to spark interest and curiosity. So these videos are specific for that. Specific to create curiosity, how to get to know the guy the right way, using your non-verbals, how to create a powerful reputation. It's truly powerful stuff. After that is the honeymoon period. This honeymoon period is how to get from curiosity to interest to creating a deep connection. So all of these videos are specifically geared to that. Not the 30, no. These specific videos are there for this phase, and this phase is any phase. You guys are having a good, happy moment. You guys just got back together, and now you feel that peak. You feel that happiness that you guys felt. That's what this is, right? So these videos are there for that, creating a lonely fantasy, the preemptive breakup, the triangle of love, using words to control his man. It's powerful stuff. After that is the post-honeymoon period, and again is a short list of videos, because these videos are there to solidify the connection that you already created. So if you just had an incredible moment, or you just came out of a vacation with a guy and everything went well, you better use this phase, because if you don't do this, he's going to become disenchanted. It's just how it is. These are very specific videos, and all you got to do is just say, all right, where am I? I tell you where you guys are, and you just watch the video. It's pretty much like being coached by me. You got some bonus videos, stop being nice, dealing with the inevitable, how to deal with breakup, how to deal with getting over a dude. This is the how to overcome manipulation, identifying manipulation, deterring manipulation, defending yourself against manipulation, what to do if you're already in a manipulative relationship, and how to avoid them through detachment. It's pretty much an extremely succinct and laser focused course. Not one waste of motion. That's why I love it. And there's a 30-day money back guarantee if you guys don't like it. No questions asked, people. All right. And if you guys want to support this channel, this is how you support it. And I hope you guys enjoy this. All right. See you guys inside.
I may make another video. I'm actually going to Williamsburg right now to check out a room. If you guys know of any rooms in Williamsburg, holla at me. Anyways, take care and have a good day. Bye bye.